leaders in Internet media and the American-made movement. You're listening to Internet Radio America.
Greetings, fellow space travelers, Earth students. Welcome to GlobalTherapy. Good to make you feel better, all right? To make you feel better about yourself. Make you feel just a little bit better. And the idea of waking up tomorrow and just going, you know what, fantastic. I've got another day on the planet. Happy birthday, Trace. Trace has Pets Rescue on Wednesday evenings on Internet Radio America, followed by American Made Baby, hosted by Frank Crumley. Tuesdays, Main Street America, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, hosted by my brother Tony Chance. Main Street America is a new show on Internet Radio America, and the whole idea behind this show is to rebirth downtown America, to take all these stores that are shut down and beginning to decay, people no longer wanting to go down there, businesses giving up or just about to give up, and bring life back into downtown America, take it away from the malls and bring it back to us where it belongs, where it's been for us for many, 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 many years, until super business decided to come in and pull it all away. This show is going to help to do something about that, with your help as well, and your beautiful, wonderful ideas, your suggestions of heart and feeling. Tonight, on GlobalTherapy, I've got a fantastic guest calling in from Lisbon, Portugal. And he's probably one of the most intelligent people that I know on this planet. He's not a politician, so he doesn't have to play the game. I'm not seeing the game. But he's brilliant. And we're going to be talking about a couple different subjects tonight, and we encourage you to take and call in and challenge and contribute, okay, to what we're going to share with you. But before we get started with that, GlobalTherapy, as I said, we've been doing a little section, so to speak, each week on different types of things that can affect the individual. First, to understand ourselves a little bit more. Certain things that might be happening to us that we may not even realize, and how we can make it better. The first part of the show here, I want to talk about the bipolar spectrum, okay? Do you understand that bipolar spectrum in modern psychiatry, that there's really one and even more than one type of bipolar disorder? And patients may be told that they are somewhere on the bipolar spectrum. It's a very loose-knitted, very scary kind of thing. Most of us, when we hear that term, we think, oh, man, first thing I need to do is I need to get away from that person. And if I'm diagnosed like that, oh, man, my life is over. It can be confusing to hear, okay? As a newly diagnosed patient, for instance, you might wonder, so do I really have bipolar disorder or not? According to the current dominant model, if you will, the bipolar spectrum runs from bipolar 1 at one end and cyclothymia, sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, not otherwise specified at the other. In other words, like feeling single and seeing double, but doing that constantly, okay? You may have heard that bipolar disorder affects only 1 in 100 people. But this is untrue, or only a partial truth, okay, according to the spectrum model. This is heavy stuff. Please bear with me, okay? Walk with me on this for a minute. 1% of adults are thought to have bipolar 1, which is a classic expression of illness, uncontrollable manias, potentially with psychotic symptoms, interspersed with depression. But a total of 5% of the population is said to have some form of bipolar disorder. 5% of the population, okay? That's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of folks. You know, it's easy to assume that the spectrum runs from most severe at the left-hand side to the least severe on the right. In other words, bipolar still carries the greatest stigma, perhaps because it most conforms to age-old stereotypes of what bipolar illness is like. When you see someone, okay, who's high-functioning and successful, for instance, despite having a diagnosis of bipolar syndrome or whatever you want to call it, we might assume that they only have a mild form of it. But there's many high-functioning people with bipolar. There are people with cyclomythia, or so-called bipolar light, all right, like Bud Light, whose illness causes severe distress and dysfunction. So it's difficult, okay, to make generalizations about which type of bipolar is the worst. In other words, either one pretty much is, it's nasty stuff. A diagnosis of bipolar spectrum disorder may be made if you meet any of the following descriptions. Bipolar 1, quite simply, this diagnosis is made if you ever had a manic episode. Okay? If you've ever had a manic episode. You guys know what that means? I'm sure that you do. Even just once. The other bipolars involved milder highs, okay, even just one. In other words, hypomania, okay, not full-blown mania at all. The symptoms of hypomania are similar to those of mania, but less intense. And the person experiencing hypomania may be more able to control their own actions in bipolar 1. The episodes of depression can range from mild to very severe. In other words, to come full circle with all of this, I can share with you a lot of different types of, studies about if you have this particular condition, how to live with it, and things of that nature. It's hard. I've always believed that, somebody that's bipolar, they're sensitive, okay? They're really, really super sensitive people. And maybe certain concepts and certain things just send them off because, where they're at and what they feel and the way the world is today, they have really, really a hard time being able to manage what I term as the chaos. I think reducing causes of stress is one way definitely to take and deal with this. Speak to your primary care physician, for Pete's sakes, and consider asking for a referral to a psychiatrist if you need it. If you feel that your moods fit the description of bipolar disorder. In other words, we all want to take and feel good. We all want to take and enjoy the quality of our lives. We all want to go to sleep at night and go, man, fantastic, I had a great day, and wake up tomorrow and have even a better one. That's what it's about. That's who we are, our quality of life. It's the most important thing that we have is our quality of life on this planet. And any guys that, feel free, as I said, feel free to take and call in if you want. And share, all right? You don't have to say who you are. You can be, totally stealth in this. But I know that there are people out there that have learned how to take and manage this and not necessarily have to take and remap their brains, okay, with drugs that crush your dreams but keep you mellow, at the same time. I don't think they've come up with anything yet that still allows you to have your dreams and push the envelope on making them happen. I think it's, you have two choices here. You have one that you can do it yourself, or you can go to support groups, or you can, take on hobbies or things of that nature that give you enjoyment and give you purpose, or you can melt your brains, and become, just a little bit more mind aware than the vegetables that you're growing in your garden, and say, hey, man, my quality of life is where I need it to be. Well, to me, that sounds like giving up, I believe that thoughts are things. It's as simple as that. I have always believed that thoughts are simply things. What you think in your head is who you are. What you believe in your heart is who you are. And are you going to give somebody else the power to ruin your day or take away your dream? Whether somebody said, hey, you're a few French fries short of a Happy Meal, are you going to actually let somebody actually do that to you? We've got a caller. Who am I speaking with? Hello?
Hello, Michael.
Kamel. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kamel from Portugal that I talked to you about earlier. And welcome to the show. What time is it there, my friend?
It's about 10 after 1 a.m. of Monday here in Portugal.
In the morning. Wow. So you're actually talking to us from the future.
I guess you can say so, after spending some time in trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future. I'm working on one of my novels right now, which exactly talks about trying to foresee the future. One of many books that are being released online before the end of this year.
What is it about the future that you feel that you see, and hopefully it's a positive thing? Would you like to share that with us?
The only positive thing I see coming in the future mainly is, people getting together to understand what you just named as the chaos. I'm working with, multiple friends around the world right now to write shared books, and one of them is about the paranoia, what we call it, the paranoia, or the assumption of a paranoia that we are getting. We are feeling a sense that there are so many people in the world that are feeling that something is happening in the background that they are not aware of. There is, various movements that are trying to assume who are the hands that are moving the world right now, and everybody's trying to find the answer their own way, between youth movements that are trying to claim, that there is massive, surveillance that's happening on us, and so we're trying to figure out in that novel if there is grounds for the sense of feeling that there is, as I said, we call it paranoia, but it's not really paranoia, because you're only paranoid if you don't have evidence. But once we start to have various evidences that there are things happening, we have the right to be in doubt. The world is coming, and this is something in the future. I'm sorry, it's not very positive, but we know that there is a war coming, and it's not going to be small war. They are pushing us into a new war, and a lot of people are going to die, and whoever they are, wherever they are, their family, their people, whatever the ideology it is, which we don't really care what they think about their religious perspectives or their political perspectives. We don't really care about all of that. What we really care is that there is a lot of people that are going to die based on, some others who are interested in money, and
money. That's something that I wanted to ask you. That I was thinking about this all day before you came on the show. About one of the seeing the forest for the trees, so to speak. Do you think that money, just that money in itself, all right, and that constant need or quest for money, do you think that is one of the main integers that has actually put our planet in the situation that it's in today?
That will take me into telling a little bit of my life story there, Michael. I used to think that we can really use money to fix all the problems that we have, because I used to think that you cannot solve problems unless you are strong. If you're very fragile and very weak, you can't solve. And I always thought that money would be one of the things that we can use to make the world a happier place for everybody. We can get everything that everybody needs. And so it took me a long trip, from, my original education was in accounting, even though I always had the hobby of writing. And I went to the United States from Egypt, with, a few $100 in my pocket, and within 10 years I had pretty much every book about the rules for making money and how to get rich and how to learn all the business aspects. And within 10 years I made it from, scrambling the little, dollars I had and the little jobs I can get, until I was in what I thought at the time, it's like I'm playing with the big boys. I'm getting into the Wall Street boys. I'm getting into the top of the mortgage industry, flying private jets and doing all of that. And suddenly I discovered at the top of the hierarchy, there is only a man like me and you. And most of the time, the man like me and you, he's a child inside. He's sitting there wanting to have some, joys and some toys and some boats and some, and during that, the mortgage crisis happened, and everything I've invested my life in, whether on the financial level or in the knowledge level, suddenly was vanishing in front of my eyes. And I went into my first trial of writing, a full-fledged novel, which was called Avid Desire for Gain or Envy, trying to figure out why are we competing? Why are we after the money? And it wasn't until recently that I finally put my hands on, one of the men that I thought, this man has the answer for it. And he has a project somewhere in Florida called the Venus Project. The man is a scientist, a 97-year-old man, who spent his life in trying to figure exactly that. His name is Jack Frisco. And he actually drilled down on all the causes of our social and economical crises that keeps happening over and over. He started with the 1929 depression, and then he went through all the different crashes of the market to figure out that because of money, because of the monetary system, we are ending up always in wars. We are ending up being in a position when we choose a politician, and then we find that politician is failing to do what we dreamt of, whether he is on the far right wing or the far left wing or whatever politics he's in. All politicians tend to fail us in making an economy that's stable, whether they globalized it around the world or whether they did it locally. We end up with market crashes. We end up with people competing. I mean, how many people did we really lose of friends or family, or because we're competing with them over money, because my car should be better than the neighbor's car, or because I have to get this at this time, but I have to lose something else for it. And then the guy looked at all the technology. I mean, when you buy a cell phone, for example, nobody is telling us until why I cannot use my same cell phone charger for the next phone, even though we know that the engineers of the world can make that happen. But the only reason is that they want me to buy more. My father had a 1958 Impala in Egypt in 1961. And the car stayed with him until 1981. My mother cried when the car went down because she was expecting the car to stay forever. It was the family car. She had an emotional attachment to it. Today, me and you know very well that the life of our car, if it went to 5 years, that would be great. Is that because that engineers and designers are not able to make a lasting product? No, it's because they know they need more money. So they know they have to make you a worse product so it can crash, so you can get another one. And so we're in that cycle that everybody is looking for money, to the point that I can't trust my doctor anymore. If I go to my doctor, I don't know if my doctor is advising me this because he wants to give me a real advice, and he wants me to walk into his clinic and walk out and never come back again because I'm treated, or that he's trying to bring me back because he wants to make more money. And so we created that whole paranoia and that whole, mistrust between everybody. We created a difference between money as a concept and value. If you remember when you were a child, probably me and you and all of us got promised by the father someday that, if you do well in school, I'll buy you a watch. That watch was, some Swiss-made, technology that is meant to last and meant to be very elegant and has high quality in it. Well, we're losing quality every day because we all have to go into and I have nothing against the Chinese, but I'm talking about moving from a solid quality to a plastic quality, to moving to the lesser quality all the time because we want to create more junk, because the faster it breaks, the faster somebody will make money. And so the problem started to become in that more and more, and not only the quality, but you can look at the wars now. Most of the wars, we don't know really why it's happening. If we are, smart enough to analyze and read all the reports and read all the foreign policies and to figure out why are wars happening, most of us end up with things like, they're doing it for oil. No, they're doing it for this. No, they're doing it for interest. And one of the funny things I keep saying is that there's an ironic statement that the leaders of the world make when they go into a war. They say, we are going into a war to protect our interest in the region. And the irony about it is that they actually literally mean the word interest as a banking term. It might seem like a figurative speech, but it's not. They actually are protecting banking. They actually are protecting the currency. They are protecting the dollar. One of the things is like, tell me one time that the prices went down in your lifetime compared between the money and the value of things. We laugh and we say, my grandfather used to say, I used to buy an apple for a penny. Well, it's true. It's true that it will never go down. That's because the money itself is made in a way that it will always decrease. Whatever we do, what we are buying today for a penny is going to be for $100 at some point, and then for $1,000, and then for $3,000. Is there a point where we ask, when is this going to stop? When are we going to see something going down rather than going up, or are we going to see the money sequence going down while the value sequence is going up? When do we consider that it doesn't matter if somebody has money or not? What really matters is, do they love us or not? Are they friends with us or not? You know, and so we built that whole social system around, and when I say social system, I don't mean socialism. I mean the system of us being together is being influenced by our concept of money, our concept of the market. And as I said, when I started listening to Jack Frisco talk about these things, for a minute it seemed to me like a utopia. This guy is literally saying that all politics, all religious, organized religion, all systems of the market and advertising and all of that. I mean, we sit to watch a movie and we get tired of watching advertising, but we never say, how can we stop that? You know, because we, year after year after year, we start assuming this is the norm of the market. This is what it has to be because somebody has to benefit, somebody has to profit. Well, the guy started thinking from a different approach. He said, why not? We did not start as human beings with money. At some point, we created a system called money, and we followed that system where it took us until it separated totally from the value of things.
Okay, Kamel, let me ask you this. All right.
Sure.
I mean, one of the things that, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm getting here is that many people feel like, that we're grown up in a society, no matter what country you're in, but that the more money that you have, the more things you can get, the more things you can make happen. The quality of things that were produced years ago. Let me give you an example. My father, who passed away about 4 years ago, he had the largest Ford dealership in Virginia. And I remember before, at 19 years old, before I went to Vietnam, he showed me pictures of 20 years in the future of what cars were going to look like, okay? And like they look like now, okay? All the streamlined stuff like that and all. And I said, well, is the technology of and the quality, like an old 55 Chevy, man, they're still running, is that going to change? And he goes, yes, it is. And I said, how? He goes, well, guess what? And I'd learned this in 1967, all right? He said that engineers are now working on a metallurgy, okay, that actually create the blocks in the engines of cars that will actually break down within 5 years, that will actually force the consumer or the citizen, Tony, my brother's on here as well, Kamel, that will actually force the citizen, the buyer, if you will, to take and have to reinvest and get another car. They actually did that scientifically with metallurgy to make this engine block actually start breaking down after 5 years to force you to get another car. Then we have companies like the Southland Corporation, okay? The guys at 7-Eleven, the convenience thing. That thing probably is one of the biggest integers that really, really rocked quality of life. The mom and pop business, if you will, all of it. The plastic Bic, pen, lighters, things of that nature. Okay, you and I, and probably a whole lot of other people on the planet right now, are aware of how we basically have been tricked, okay, into believing this is all that we have. This is our only resource. We can't go elsewhere. We can't do anything about it. But, Kamel, I know you, and I know you as probably being one of the most brilliant people on this planet that I've ever met, and I respect you. We all are aware, my friend, of what money has done, okay, what it actually has done, and taken us so far away from our dream when we thought that was the main integer that would take us the closest to our dreams. So what avenues, what ideas, because there's a whole lot more takers, it seems like now, than there are givers. How do we circumvent that? How do we change it? How do we bring it back and make it the way it should be?
When I heard the approach that was laid down by that self-educated engineer, I was in a big shock, because this person was able to really take and again, it's call it a utopia, call it a dream that, we tend to always look at dreams as, well, this is impossible. But this guy said, okay, is it because that engineers and people who make technology are bad, that they cannot make a better product, that they cannot make us live with, a lasting chair and a lasting refrigerator and a lasting... Can't they make these things? And then he said, well, the reason is that they're following that money system. What if? And what if is always the imagination question. It's the question that makes us really look in the future with a different eye. He said, what if we don't use money? And for a second I was like, wait a minute, the whole world is built around it now. Everybody's copying the model. I tell you, after that crash of the economy, I was also reading everything about, the end of capitalism, the end of, everybody copied in the world these models. But the question is, I knew that, there is something wrong, but the question is, where do we go from there? What is the new philosophy that we can follow? We are not all, philosophers, and we are not all the greatest thinkers. A lot of us just want to live happy. We don't really, spend all the time researching and trying to read books and trying to write books. A lot of us want to, take their kids to school. They want the happiness for themselves and their kids. And so the question is, I knew that there is a new philosophy needed. And I started looking at, everybody that could have an approach. And the guy said, okay, what if we assume that the engineer will make the best product possible? What if we assume that technology will actually change the whole economy model? See, our whole economy is based on scarcity. It's based on the lesser the product, the higher the price of it. Well, he said, that concept is wrong. Why don't we build it on abundance? So he came up with a model of economy called resource-based economy. He said, why don't we take all the resources of the world and put them on a computer system or so, make a database of everything that humanity owns and make it a heritage for everybody. Statistically, he looked and said, listen, we make food in the world for 17 billion people. The population of the world is 7 billion. But we still have 2 billion starving. We don't know how. How does it work if we have all of that abundance and we still have 2 million people in wars, 2 billion people starving? How does it work? So he said, why don't we reallocate everything? Not in the old way that communism tried to do or, some older philosophy tried to do. He said, use technology. Instead of getting people unemployed, people will continue to be unemployed. The more we create technology, the more me and you will get old-fashioned and not be able to follow up with the new generation, and the age of retirement or the age of being forced out of the employment market will continue to go down. In the past, the seniors started going out of, the workforce at 70, 65. Now, 35, 40, there's no place for you in the market. Both me and you know it. Unless you retrain. And even if you retrain, you still cannot compete. The reality is that unemployment trend will continue the faster technology goes. Well, he says, why can't we have technology do everything and we stop working? Why can't we produce massively using robots and using everything and have an abundance of everything to the point that we don't have scarcity. On the contrary, that everything will be available.
I think I have an answer for that.
Go ahead.
I think it will be one of the main reasons that we can't at this time do this is because a friend of mine, in fact, it might even have been you that said this to me years ago. In order to take and create change, you've got to have the influence or the ability to influence others. Okay? I think part of me, I say this with respect, I think when we got into the convenience store, the plastic mode, our products guaranteed 30 seconds or 30 feet, whichever comes first, of being subjected to that type of concept has actually caused not just a single country, but an entire planet to become simply, for lack of a better word, of just simply being lazy and letting their dreams just go, you know what, I don't have a dream anymore. I'm just trying to simply survive. I'm trying to keep the lights on in my house. I'm trying to feed my kids. I'm trying to play the game of not seeing the game. You speak of engineers that have, and all these beautiful, awesome people, and intellectual people, engineers that can create things that will last a lifetime. But if they take and they do that for the companies that they work, guess what? A week later, they're fired.
Exactly, and that system has engulfed all of us, and it will continue to decrease and decrease and decrease. If you look, 20, 30 years back, the goal of someone like me and you would have been, I'm trying to keep the lights on, but I'm also trying to build an investment so I can have a house for the family to leave it after my kids, to inherit after me. Well, now if your goal is, I'm trying to survive just to get my kids to college and then I can get out before, I cause damage with my health problems that will be, causing them to be in debt or so, I will be happy, if I'm able just to, get there. And if I'm able to work, 15 hours, I will be happy because I'm making some money that is enough to sustain everything, which wasn't the goal of, the senior, older before us, 2 generations or 3 generations, which his goals was like, I have to take 2 vacations every year. I have to be able to put retirement money. This all got wiped out, and it will continue to get wiped out until we all work, 20 hours a day and sleep, 2. The question is, we are building a system that does exactly that. It forces humanity into slavery for money. It's a modern day slavery, and there are people that are profiting from that. The whole concept of profit and the whole concept of making money for a simple number of elite. I mean, this is not new. There are people, if you go back to Einstein, and what they call the pacifist movement or so, he was talking about the 2% of people that don't believe in wars, don't believe in armies and all of that. If you come back many, many, many years after and you look at Occupy Wall Street, for example, you'll find him talking about the 1% and the 99%, which the question is, it is not about only an elite. That elite is the smart people. They are people that are trying to make themselves better in the system. But the problem is, the system itself is built in a way that will always do that. Will always reduce value and will always increase the meaning of money, which is separate. It used to be, if you look at the United States, for example, the part that we always thought that the United States is great is that we had production. We were producing things. Everybody in a house had, fixed his own car, had, put his own fruit, made his own chicken, something like that. Well, we don't produce anything anymore. We only produce money trade. Most of the United States is based on commission-based economy. There's people making commission from things that they did not produce. Well, and then we complain and say, oh, everything is produced, overseas. We are shipping our employment overseas. Well, the reason is we're not producing anything because the target, again, has become that we produce only money because it's more lucrative. It produces a result quickly. Yes, but it produces nothing to the world.
So Kamel, let me ask you this. You know what? I love you, my brother. And those of you guys that have never met him personally, I have, and he's got a heart that's probably about twice the size of his height, to be honest with you. That's one of the things that this broadcasting company is doing. They've got some shows on here about American-made products, bringing downtown America back, bringing the mom-and-pop businesses back, bringing back quality products that our grandfathers, enjoyed. They felt with investment of time, all right, that I worked for this company for like 25, 50 years, whatever. I get my gold watch, but you know what? When I went home at the end of the day, I knew that I made something that was of quality. I made something that, as far as I know, is going to outlive me a couple lifetimes. So let me ask you.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned the idea of creating a consortium, if you will, okay? A consortium of people that actually still give a shit, that are actually able to take and look beyond the veil of chaos, all right? To be able to take and bring it back to the individual to make a difference and to be able to do something about it. Because as I said earlier, there's only a handful of takers, but there's a whole lot more people on this planet that are givers and they're believers. And I think
that is. Go ahead.
Well, I just feel that I want to take some calls. I want to get some other opinions here going, because I think the concept and what you're sharing with us is valid and it's awesome. But you know what I want to do, my brother? I want to turn this around. And I think there's a lot more of us that have the heart of true, remarkable commerce to break down the lines between the countries. Because you know why? Because I'm thinking that one of the main reasons that leads us to war and things of that nature, if you will, the money thing, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Michael, I take from...
But I think that I really, truly believe, like a query that I did on, my timeline today, like referencing the war in Syria and how many people in this country, how they feel about going to war. And you know what? Hundreds and hundreds of people responded to this. And you know what they all said? And tears were rolling down my face, man. You know why? Because every single one of these people said, no, we're done. We're done with this. We're done with the idea of going out and trashing somebody else, taking somebody else out in the interest of the ones that stand in the shadows that gain from this. So there is hope. That's what I was looking for today before we started the show. The reason why I queried that is that there is hope because people are starting to get it. Okay, they're starting to get it. They've had enough. You don't have to take and kill somebody to make your point. You don't have to do that anymore. We need to stop doing that. We need to take Al-Qaeda, everybody. We need to take and move the lines off of the map and work as one people, as one life on this planet. And I was I was just absolutely enthralled with the beautiful, beautiful concepts that I got back after posting this query about just simply going to war, not simply, but of going to war with Syria, and 100% of hundreds of people, man.
Yeah, that's the truth.
They've had enough, buddy.
Yeah, the truth, Michael, is that, again, the ones that are making profit will not care. They will not listen.
Absolutely
and the only
not.
way...
Kamel, hold on.
The only way we can...
Kamel, hold on for just a second. Those of you
Sure, go ahead.
Call in, please. The number is 617-381-4700. We want you to be a part of this, okay? Because what Kamel and I are doing right now, what this broadcasting company is in the process of doing right now, is that we want to make a better planet. And the only way that we're going to make a better planet is for you guys to take and get involved. Okay, get involved. Share your heart. Share your knowledge. Share your resources. And share your intellect. And share a way out of this madness. Okay, because we all... I heard a long time ago when I was on an Indian reservation that all living things are entitled to live their life with dignity and respect. All living things. Not just people, but all living things. Tony, what do you think about that?
Hey, Michael, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Kamel, this is my brother Tony. You haven't met him personally, but I want to give him a few moments here basically to reflect on some things that he's got a powerful mind, Kamel. He's got a great heart. Please listen to him. Go ahead.
Well, Michael, you said it just spot on. You know, everything has the right for dignity. And I think when we as humans, are unable to show it for each other, it's impossible to show it for other species on this planet or the planet itself, showing it the dignity the planet deserves. But, I think that that the ones that we're talking to, again, it's like, people who either believe that UFOs exist or don't exist. Okay, the UFO shows, that are on the UFO Hunters or, on the cable TV, the ones who watch that aren't the disbelievers. They are the believers. They're not targeting the disbelievers. We're targeting the believers, okay? So the thing is that when we go out and, tell people to enjoy life and live life to the fullest and show dignity towards yourself, towards others, towards other species, to the planet, what we're doing is we're talking to those who have dignity and want to show dignity. Me and Michael, and I'm sure yourself too, Kamel, that has seen humans at their worst. These aren't who we're talking to. They're a small percentage on this planet that just spoil it for everybody else. Everybody thinks that they're the ones that, the whole world's negative. Well, no, it's not. It's not. And we, the ones that, I just think the ones who are negative seem to have a louder voice than the ones who are positive, and that's all you hear.
Absolutely, Tony, I hear that. We've got a caller. Hold on a minute, and we'd like to welcome someone else to our show, Global Therapy. Who are we speaking with, and welcome?
Danny. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Hello? Who am I
Can you hear
speaking?
me? Speaking with Danny.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
I can hear you great.
Okay.
We're still working on trying to keep Danny with us. Are you still there, my friend?
I'm still here.
Okay, what is your question or what is your comment, sir?
Just wanted to comment about the state of affairs in the world and what I think is going on.
Well, then why don't you just do that?
Who am I speaking with? Are you the host?
Am I what?
Are you the host of the show?
Well, yes, myself and my brother Tony and my special guest,
okay.
Portugal, Kamel. Yes, I am.
So who's on now? Is that your brother?
You're on now.
Oh, I'm on
Yeah,
now.
we're listening to you. Yep.
Oh, no, because I keep hearing this other guy still talking.
No, we're right here with you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, well, you know something? I don't know if it was you or your brother. I mean, I agree with you as far as the fact that givers and takers, and you're absolutely right. I mean, that's what the world has really come to. But the other thing that I'd like to point out is really there's not enough love in the world anymore. People just don't seem to put the effort into it. People don't seem to care. So I think with all this shift and everything happening in the world today, I think people are starting to shift back a little bit. I see it in my daily things and some of the groups that I belong to and some of the things that I do in the workshops I take. That people really want to get back to helping each other, and they want to get more, they want to feel connected, because right now I believe the world is totally disconnected in so many different ways. So, yeah. That being said, I think that if people are starting, I hope they are anyway, to be more compassionate to each other, more kind, and more helpful. I mean, I think that people are realizing when the Mayflower landed here years ago, if they didn't help each other, they wouldn't have survived. And we've been in a me-I society for so long that's part of what's going on. But I see it shifting back slowly. There's a lot of beautiful people out there, and there's a lot of people that are willing, believe it or not, I think, to help people. And I think it will change over time. It's going to take a long, long time. But we've been in the me-I society for so long and chasing the buck, and people realize that it's really not working.
So Danny, that's one of the things that I got today when I did the query on my timeline about whether or not we should go over and nuke people, people that we don't even know, and just create more havoc and more hell and all of that. Let me ask you something. You mentioned something about groups and workshops that you're involved in. Would you share any of that? I feel like I'm talking to somebody here right now, folks. Okay, that has heart, and a lot of you guys out there, guys and ladies, if you will. When I say guys, I'm talking cross-gender here. But first of all, I want to thank you for calling in. But would you share some of that so that maybe people have more of an idea of not necessarily what you say, but where you're coming from, so you're able to really drive the points home of what you shared?
Oh, I was I not on the show when I was speaking to you? Or?
No, you were on the show. I was just asking you. You said that you were part of certain groups.
Oh yeah, I mean one of the groups that I belong to that I think is fabulous. I belong to this Mankind Warrior group, and it actually teaches men how to be men, and and to be able to talk about feelings and really what most men really don't do. It's very refreshing and very comforting to be able to share that with people, with same-sex people, and to understand it's a beautiful thing. It's it isn't anything about being a little strange or anything. It's just there's a lot of guys that would love to be more heartfelt and be able to talk about things, and it's just a beautiful thing to be able to have that.
I think it's fantastic. I think now I'm starting to understand you better. And once again, I want to thank you for calling in. I want you to stay with me for a minute, okay? When you speak of, being in a situation where you can feel free to be able to take and speak your heart and talk about how you feel and not feel challenged or embarrassed, if you will, or feel like you just kind of like want to put your head down and say what you have to say and mutter and then walk off and stand behind the curtain stage of life, if you will. To me, that's what we all need to take and do, but we need to take and push it to a higher level. Not a higher level, but a level in which to be able to take and communicate, to be able to take and make a change with anything. Danny, you've gone through, you have certain people in your groups that you enjoy, and they make you feel comfortable. What this show is about, what Kamel's about, what Tony's about, what you're about, is that I want to push it out of the group. I want to take it just a little bit farther. I want to spread it all the way around the planet, that we need to take and feel free enough to share what we truly believe in and create and make a change. Because like I said, there's a lot of control going on, just like Kamel said, with money. It's about money, you know. I saw a bumper sticker years ago. It says, whoever has the most money when they die wins.
Listen, I was there one time in my life. I made a very comfortable living. I had 2 brand new Lexuses, a brand new house. I went through a really bad divorce, and I had it all, and I lost it all. What I think is, I think you're right, but I don't think the money, the money I don't think has as much to do with it as people opening their hearts. I try to get up every day and do a little random act of kindness, whether it's a smile, helping someone with their groceries, the simplest things. I try to do one thing every single day. And it's amazing if people started doing that, if they started doing it every day, just one simple thing to try to make the world a more compassionate, more beautiful place. It's amazing the results you would have. It's amazing the way people treat you. It's the way people respond to things. I mean, I do a random act of kindness every day, and after I do it, I say, by the way, that was my random act of kindness for the day. Would you please pass it on? And people look.
And I think that is the absolute one of the best secrets and best integers that anybody could say. Is do something for somebody else. Danny, I want to thank you so very, very much, and I'd definitely like to have you back on next week. Okay, we're just about coming to a climax to the end of our show here. I got to get back with my friend here, Kamel, from Lisbon, Portugal, and my brother Tony out of Hawaii. But please call back, okay? Because you know what? Many of the things that you have shared is what we all, our grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, they all shared about just simply doing something nice for somebody else, and how contagiously beautiful that can be in a heartbeat. Kamel,
right? I mean, like I said, when the settlers first came here, if they didn't help each other, they wouldn't have survived.
And that's what we need to do now, my friend.
That's what we need to do now. You're absolutely right.
We need to help each other. Okay,
enjoyed your show. Thanks for having me on.
You've got 1 week to come up with some ideas of how we can make it better for this planet. I'm challenging you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, pop quiz in 1 week. Come back, and thank you again, my friend.
Okay, ciao.
Ready. Kamel.
Michael, I would like to thank your caller, Danny, because I think he nailed it right on the head when he said compassion and cooperation between people, helping each other. It all starts from that. It all stems from thinking that as humans, we have to help each other to continue existing on that planet. And we have to help the planet itself. We have to make sure we're not finishing all the resources on this planet, and we have to start looking at it from that perspective and looking at the quality. As I said, my main target of covering that subject of, money versus quality or money versus value was exactly about that. We got to remember that the only reason we are after money is that we are after the benefits that comes from money. If we can get these benefits by helping each other, by figuring out ways out of the money system, by figuring out that profit is not everything, that the main thing is us. The main thing is to get the needs we want. I don't say I hate money, I love all the things that money can buy. Except that money itself is not the way.
And I want you back on next week. We're in the process of closing our show right now. Kamel, Tony, Annie, who called in.
All right, Michael.
Thank you so much for being a part of Global Therapy. You know what we're going to do? You know what we're going to do each week? We're going to make this a better planet.